what do you think the future of Doom looks like? What do you hope for? What do you see? What do you think it can be or should be?
I'm kind of tired of hell. I am. I'm tired of hell. I'm tired of demons. I would love to see it apply its, talented folk that can make interesting enemies that are fun to rip in half and just take it in any other direction. Like, I almost want id to become the the developer that can make all the games that used to rip off Doom. Like
do a medieval, but with Doom budget.
Yeah, like if you guys are burnt out on hell and burnt out on the exact arena style that you've been doing, like, that's fine. Do one of the, riff on one of the games that ripped you off 25 years ago.
I don't disagree with more color. I don't disagree with more variety or stepping away from demons necessarily. What I miss is the feeling of playing something a little forbidden or a little, I don't want to say edgy, because edgy, I just associate with Postal and a piss gun or something. When I mean that is I want, by the end of the Ancient Gods Part 2, I felt like, and forgive the cliche, all the edges had been sanded down. When Doom came out, those detailed sprites felt scary and gross and real. They felt like, when I was looking at Cyber Demon, it just looked so detailed and muscly and present. And I want to see enemy designs that are upsetting.
These modern Doom enemies almost look like they're made to look like piñatas that you just want to strike. You don't want to run away from them. You actually want to run into them because they're not imposing as much as they are just bulgy, and they'll definitely
cute.
They'll blow up real good when you shotgun them.
The originals were inspired by actual demon folklore, and the icon of sin felt like a truly not scary necessarily, but it evoked sort of that satanic panic. I don't think you can tap into, satanic panic is over. Largely, Doom's never going to be this thing that feels forbidden or sinful to play. But I think if it's going to be nostalgic, I think it should be less about less about
making the health potions.
Yeah, how do you represent that in a way that is modern and cool rather than just old school and haha, remember Doom?
Yeah. as soon as you were connected, because Doom is older than me. I definitely was not there to, and I'll never quite understand how edgy it felt at the time, or just counterculture, whatever you want to call it, for the 90s. But when you mentioned that, what I think of nowadays is stuff that can exist in indie form, Cruelty Squad, which I think you wrote about.
Yes, absolutely.
That is an FPS, on Steam early access that feels designed to make you uncomfortable as you're playing it, not in the sense that it's fucking that dumb Hatred game, which was just a mass shooting simulator.
If you killed people.
It is, it is just aesthetically different. And gross, and just kind of what Doom was at the time.
There is sort of a new wave of weird FPS that is doing what I think Doom did in Post Void and in Cruelty Squad and Golden Light. There are these games that are trying to feel transgressive and strange to look at, and I think jabbing at, if Doom was kind of riding the coattails of the satanic panic, metal culture, then and poking, sort of, and the threat at the heart of that was to the status quo, the American family, the American way of life. These new games are more about, a lot of them are broadly about just consumer culture and excessiveness and capitalism. I think we broadly agree. I disagree in that I'm still down for more demons. There's so many cool demons to pull from. But I do like the.
Maybe I'm just not expanding my mind of what a demon can be.
I just I mean, I was wikiing some demons, and I mean, there's all sorts. There's like the guy who's just a wheel made of feet, you know. So, yeah. There's all sorts of shit, and I would love to see like the, and this is me just like being that guy, but the FromSoft approach to like character design and enemy design taken to, you know, I think that's what I want to see more of in Doom. It's just like, all right, those original demons really felt like they were pulling from some kind of like subconscious fear. I want to see demon designs that you look at and you can like read into like what they. I think of the xenomorph being like this thing that was meant to like invoke like every basically psychosexual fear in its design, you know. I don't think, you know, Doom needs to fucking rattle us to the bone, but I think there's room to like tell some stories and like imply big things about its themes and its world in the designs, more than just like, here's a, you know, it's a baron and he's got armor, so
yeah, it's a walking.
Where'd you get that? I don't know.
An eyeball. Yeah. It's weird. I don't actually want Doom to change. I think sometimes maybe the answer to like how do you do a next one is just to wait long enough until we want something like this again. I think it would be nice. Something that, you know, they started more in Doom Eternal and they should just do more of is locking key enemies, like you mentioned. I think maybe that's their terminology, but you know, I don't think the Marauder is a well-designed one of those, because it literally makes you halt everything around you, and even if you're fighting other stuff. But that's not the only one of those enemies in the game. There's, you know, all the pretty much anything with a weak point you can consider a lock and key enemy, especially those larger mega demons, whatever they're called, with the green power suits. Those are just, I believe you're supposed to melee those with a super punch, whatever it's called.
The blood punch.
And that's not just like, oh, you can optionally do that, and that's like a better way to kill them. It is like, you should do that, or else they actually do a ton of damage and they might just put you down. That I consider like, yeah, that was a lock and you opened it with a key. I want to see more like that, and to actually enable you to like keep playing, because what Marauder doesn't do is let you do what you usually do, which is use any weapon and keep darting around. Like, honestly, no, you should stop and stare at it and fight it and use a shotgun. That is what you should do with those things. And I don't think that's as fun as, say, I think of like Horizon Zero Dawn, the PlayStation game. Actually, it's on Steam now too.
That's right.
The entire idea of that game with its big dinosaurs, robot dinosaurs, is that it's just this modular walking tank that you can take down by cutting off any part of it. And they actually do some of that in Doom as well, with a couple enemies that have like, you know, tentacles coming off that can be plopped off with a grenade. More of that, and more, you know, I don't think enemies need to have one weakness, like the cacti demons that can swallow a grenade. Like, if you really want to go wild with it, you know, I don't care if it means that there's fewer enemies in the game total, but if the enemies that are there have a downright silly number of ways you can counter them, that's all the better.
I also want to see, and like, you might hate this, I think that could be used really interestingly, this like character action-based design in, I think there should always be a single player component of Doom, but I would love to see a like multiplayer co-op take on this design, with characters with different sort of either loadouts or you know, resource abilities. You know, we've played as the Slayer with the chainsaw and the hammer and the glory kill and the sword. Like, they've been playing around with this stuff. How can you apply that in big arenas with enemies that you can take on multiple ways? Enemies that, you know, I just love the idea of like, oh, if it sounds really complex to do, but they've already proven they can do 40 demons or whatever types and make interesting arena shooting out of that. But like, you know, what if you apply that skill shot stuff to, oh, if you plink this guy in the eye while I shoot him in the ass with this, it like instantly kills him, you know, like coordinating it at lightning speed.
I think, yeah, Doom totally
That's
works
cool.
for co-op. I don't see why it wouldn't. You know, things other than having more verbs in your game than just shooting.
Definitely.
It's not like games have to do that. Shooters can be shooters, but there's, give it a shot. Like
The mind runs wild with like the if I'm there are like physics objects that I can freely grapple around with or pull with the meat hook, like that's just like one thing you could apply to more than just pulling yourself towards enemies.
Honestly, physics is a great one. Like get some Halo up in there.
I mean, you already have all these weapons that do things. If you can sort of make those the same things they do interact with the world or produce a result in the world, then you can design little secrets and puzzles and around them.
Honestly, I think maybe we're just not. If you want to get to the bottom of why changing Doom so drastically feels wrong, it's because of Doom Guy. Like, if you're, all these things I thought about, like, oh, what if there was a hacking mini game in Doom? Like, if you were a Doom Guy doing a hacking mini game, it would just feel all wrong.
He'd be like punching the screen. Fuck this,
Yeah, I don't want Doom Guy to do a hacking mini game, but I do want to play a game that feels as good as Doom and has Doom's combat, and do more than just some light platforming until the next arena. Like something more complex would be cool.